The leftist gas station denied J.D. Vance. His response shocked everyone. The arrival. The sun hung low over Pine Hollow, Tennessee, painting the sky in bruised oranges and purples on March 17, 2025. J.D. Vance's black SUV limped into town, its fuel gauge a mocking red slash. Pine Hollow was a speck on the map, faded storefronts, a church with a leaning steeple, and Greenleaf Fuel, the lone gas station, its neon sign buzzing faintly. J.D., now vice president, had spent the day barnstorming rural counties, touting infrastructure plans to weary farmers and factory workers. He'd ignored the low fuel warning for miles, too bullheaded to stop, until the engine's final wheeze left him stranded. Muttering a curse, he pulled into Greenleaf's gravel lot, dust swirling around his tires. The station stood out like a flare. Its door was a collage of stickers, rainbow flags, Union Strong, ban fracking, and a chalkboard out front read, "Fair Trade Coffee, $2. J.D. didn't care about the vibe. He needed gas and maybe a Coke to push him through to Nashville. He stepped out, the chill biting through his jacket, and crunched toward the entrance. The rejection. A bell jangled as J.D. pushed through the door. Behind the counter stood Riley Carter, 32, lean and sharp-edged, her buzz-cut framing a face set with defiance. A nose ring glinted under the fluorescent lights, and her flannel sleeves were rolled up, revealing tattoos of ivy curling around her wrists. She'd inherited Greenleaf from her late father and remade it into a haven for Pine Hollow's misfits. Teachers, poets, old radicals. Her gaze snapped to J.D., recognition flashing like a spark on dry grass. "You're J.D. Vance," she said, her voice a taut wire. "Vice President." J.D. flashed a tired smile. "That's right. Ran dry out there. Can you fill me up?" Riley's arms stayed crossed, her stance unyielding. "Not for you. I know your game. Tax breaks for the rich, cuts for the rest of us. You're why my kid's school's a mess and I'm scraping by. No gas here." The words landed like a punch. The hum of the drink cooler faded as two customers, a bearded guy in tie-dye and a gray-haired woman with a hemp bag, swiveled to watch. J.D.'s gut tightened. He'd faced hecklers, but this was a blade, personal and close. "I'm not here to debate," he said, hands up. "I'm stuck. Can't we just—" "Nope." Riley stepped forward, her boots scuffing the linoleum. "Last year, my son's teacher got axed. Budget cuts you backed. Art's gone, music's gone, and I'm killing myself to keep this place alive. You don't get to roll in here like it's all good. Get out." The bearded man grinned. "Give 'em hell, Riley." The woman nodded, clutching her bag tighter. J.D.'s jaw clenched. He could have fired back, touted the jobs he'd pushed for, the bootstraps he'd pulled himself up by from a trailer park in Ohio. But Riley's eyes stopped him, fierce, frayed, a single mom's desperation he knew too well from his own mother's face. "All right," he said, voice low. "I'm gone." He turned, the bell clanging behind him like a taunt. The reckoning. Outside, dusk deepened, the cold sinking into his bones. J.D. slumped against his SUV, staring at the useless tank. No stations for 20 miles, no signal to call a tow. The vice president, marooned in a town that despised him, ironic didn't cover it. Anger flared first. He yanked out his phone, fingers itching to tweet, "Leftist gas station rejects VP, boycott Greenleaf." His followers would swarm. Riley's business would tank. But then his daughter Ellie's voice piped up in his head, 6 years old and puzzled. "Why do they hate you, Daddy? Aren't you nice?" He froze, thumb hovering. Was he? Or just another suit, grinding people like Riley into the dirt? He pocketed the phone and trudged to a splintered picnic table by the lot's edge. Under a flickering street lamp, he opened his notes app and typed, raw and unfiltered, "Riley, I'm sorry. Not just for tonight, for how you're hurting, how it feels like the world's stacked against you. I've been there, grew up with nothing, Mom crying over shut-off notices. I wanted to fix that, but I've screwed up somewhere. You're fighting for your kid. I see that. I don't have solutions now, but I'm here. My number's below. No PR, no games. Just me." He added his private cell, a risk he rarely took, then slid the note under Greenleaf's door, the glass rattling as he walked away. Back at the SUV, he dug out a blanket and a stale granola bar, resigned to a night of shivering. The turn. An hour later, Riley locked up, Ben dozing on a cot in the back with his stuffed triceratops. She found the note, reading it under the counter's glow. Her instinct screamed trap. Politicians were snakes, not saints. But the words hit home, echoing her own sleepless nights. She glanced out. JD's SUV sat dark, a lonely shape. Ben stirred, yawning. "Mom, who's that guy?" "Some lost soul," she muttered, then softer. "Looks sad, huh?" "Like Dino when he's stuck," Ben said, hugging his toy. Riley's resolve cracked. She couldn't leave him, not with Ben's big eyes on her. Grabbing the tow truck keys, she scooped up her son and headed out. Headlights sliced the dark as the truck rolled up. Riley climbed out, Ben peering from the cab. "Saw your note," she said, her tone grudging. "Expected you to trash me online." JD emerged, blanket around his shoulders. "Crossed my mind. Didn't sit right." She squinted at him, then nodded at the truck. "Hooking you up. Got gas at home. You're not dying out here for optics." "You don't have to," JD started. "Zip it," she cut in, almost gentle. "Ben saw you. Thinks you're a stray. He's soft like that." Ben waved, triceratops flapping. JD waved back, throat tight. "Thanks, Ben." The connection. The tow to Riley's trailer, a weathered double-wide nestled in pines, was quiet, save for Ben's chatter about Jurassic Park. Under a porch light, she filled JD's tank from a rusty can, her movements brisk. "Why'd you write it?" she asked, eyes on the nozzle. "'Cause you're not wrong," JD said. "I've missed people like you, real people. I'm sorry." Riley scoffed. "Sorry's cheap." "Yeah," he nodded, "but listening's not. I want to." She looked up then, weighing him. Ben bounded over, thrusted the triceratops forward. "For luck, mister." JD took it, smiling. "Appreciate it, kid." The ripple. JD hit Nashville at dawn. Riley and Ben burned into his thoughts. At 8 a.m., he posted on X, not a jab, but a bridge, a photo of Greenleaf's sign, captioned, "Stranded in Pine Hollow." Riley at Greenleaf said no. Had her reasons. A mom protecting her own. I get it. Visit her spot. Killer coffee. We're not so different. The internet erupted. Praise, outrage, memes. By midday, Greenleaf swarmed locals, tourists, a news crew. Riley texted, stunned. You're a lunatic. Packed house. Ben's calling you Captain Dino. J.D. shot back. Tell Captain Ben he's the boss. Weeks later, a box landed on J.D.'s desk. 2 Greenleaf mugs and Ben's crayon sketch of a dinosaur in a suit. Riley's note was curt, warm. Still not your fan, but you're decent. Gas is free next time. J.D. pinned the drawing up, a quiet vow to keep listening, to Riley, to Pine Hollow, to the cracks he'd once climbed out of.